What would be the better investment over the next 15 years, gold or silver?
Buy your gold and silver online from SD Bullion. New customers get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new.
Good to see you again, Harry.
Good morning, Silver Dragons.
No Adrian yet today?
He had a personal business. He's going to be a little later today, so you have me.
Well, we're happy to have you, and in the last video, I asked people if they had any questions for you.
Okay.
And we got a bunch of them in the comments.
I can weigh in on whatever you have, right or wrong. We'll see what I say.
But before we do that, I actually have something to show you.
Okay.
It's the new Oklahoma Goldbacks. Should we take a look?
Yeah, I know they're imminent, but I have not seen them yet.
So I have the full set here. They go from 1/2 all the way up to 100, just like the Floridas. And we got all new designs. They are for the state of Oklahoma. So we've got people on horseback, Native Americans. We even have a little bit of a twister theme here on the 50. What do you think about these?
I think they're quite beautiful, and I think it appears to me to be the same artist or artists who did the Florida, because they have that more realistic look to them than the earlier versions of the Goldbacks, which were also quite beautiful, but very, very different in design. I like it.
Yeah, if I had to pick my favorite for the series, it probably is the 100. Similar to the Florida, the 100 is just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, the one in the Florida that's far and away the most popular is the Pirate Girl, but these are all of that same kind of artistry.
So are you guys going to carry the Oklahomas here at the shop?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, whatever states come out subsequent to that will carry it. I have a space already picked out. I'll move the wallets to the lower shelf, and this will be Oklahoma here. Maybe I'll have to dedicate 2 shelves here. You know, the more they come out, the more space I'll give it. And frankly, they sell well, so it's no problem for me to have space for them. I have a question for you about Goldbacks, and I've had this question many times, and I'm not positive what the right answer is. The states that have Goldbacks, like Oklahoma and Florida and Utah, etc., will they only accept as an alternate currency their state's Goldback, or could you use a Utah in Florida?
Well, in my experience, like when I went to Utah, you
Yes.
certainly could use the Utah ones there.
Yes.
But it's up to the proprietor if they want to accept another state. I mean, if you have a 1 Oklahoma Goldback or a 1 Utah Goldback, it's just different artwork essentially. I mean, they would probably prefer to use the one in their state, but it's the same amount of gold.
And another question I get is, there are these now 7 states that have these as an alternate currency if the merchant wants to accept it, right? But what if you're here in Oregon and a merchant says, oh, I'll take them? Is that considered more of a barter than a currency? I mean, how is that handled?
No, you absolutely can use it in any state as long as the merchant or whoever is the shop owner is willing to accept the gold as payment. So literally any state and actually any country in the whole world, you could use the Goldbacks as long as they're willing to accept them.
So the fact that the company now makes only 7 versus the 50 states, is that just about rolling it out slowly? I mean, can they roll it out without state legislature approval?
Yeah, they actually can roll out any state, and they have a few more coming out. And I think we might get a northwestern state here at some point. So I don't want to say too much, but I am really excited for some of the future ones.
Okay, I'll leave it at that, but these are quite beautiful, and we'll stock every one of them.
There you go. So the new Oklahoma Goldbacks, all 8 of them right here. I think this is an excellent series. I'm really happy to see this one come out. But let's get to some of those questions, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. That'll be fun.
All right, so the first question here, what is your opinion on platinum today? And what's your opinion on Australian coinage? So I guess it's a 2-parter. We could start
Sounds
with
like
platinum.
2 questions to me.
Yeah, you have a little bit of platinum here at the shop.
I have one 1/10 ounce platinum. And that's kind of indicative of how much business we do here in platinum, which is not very much. I have to say, platinum's been on a tear this year. It was down in the 900s, and now it's over 1,300 an ounce. And while it's down $6 today, it's mostly been up all year. It even eclipsed palladium, as you can see, by a couple $100. I would have thought by now there'd be more of a demand for platinum, but it hasn't, at least in my small piece of the world, that has not materialized. And I always wonder if it's just because it looks like silver but is priced more like gold if it just turns people off. I'm not sure, but we sell very little of it.
And then what about Australian coinage? So like Perth Mint stuff. Do you like that stuff here?
I like it a lot. In fact, I used to carry the gold kangaroos more than even the US pieces because frankly, I could get them for a little less money. But if I put a kangaroo out now that's gold, it won't sell.
What about the silver?
The silver kangaroos do okay. Honestly, it's not my favorite design. It's just sort of, the kangaroo sort of is lost in all the rays and lines in this thing, and it's just not as aesthetically appealing to most people. So mostly they sit too.
Well, they are 4.9s fine silver nowadays, and they do have some security features. So a few pluses, but you just think they don't sell as well as like a maple?
No, they don't, but I can tell you from the Perth Mint, what does sell well is when we have kookaburras, they're out of here. That's a series that is very popular, and they're actually quite appealing in terms of visually. The kookaburras from the Perth Mint are gorgeous, not so much the kangaroos, and the gold always goes to the refiner.
Well, speaking of gold, we actually have a question here about revaluation. So the gold that the U.S. government has on the books, like in Fort Knox, is worth $42 and 22.222 cents. It's actually 2/9 of a dollar is the fraction there. And they've had it valued that way since 1973. So the question is, if the government revalues the gold on their books, say to today's prices, or they pick a number like $10,000 an ounce, what's that going to do for the dollar? What's that going to do to gold prices? All that kind of stuff.
Well, let's think about this for a minute. The gold that they have valued at 1973 prices, $42 an ounce, versus what they might revalue it to, is not for sale. That stuff's sitting in Fort Knox, we hope. Therefore, it's not going to flood the market with product either at $42 or at $10,000. In other words, it's an accounting stunt that I don't think should affect the physical market where we operate, because it's not available to anybody. It's just a way of cooking the books to make things look less bleak in terms of the debt. But unless they said, and it's also for sale, I don't see how it would affect the price for those of us buying and selling day to day.
What about putting a floor on the price? So let's say they revalue it to $3,000 an ounce. Now, as an investor, you look at gold and say, okay, well, it can't really go below that. Would that create some more confidence for investors?
It might, but saying it can't go below that, I don't think is necessarily a true statement. It might be a wish on the part of the government, but if the market dictates that it goes to 2,500, they've just got some overvalued product on the books, and they'll have to cook them again. But I don't see how that would affect our day-to-day business.
All right, so it wouldn't do that much, you think?
I don't think it would do anything other than make some news and conversation.
Yeah, well, we could do a video on it anyway.
Yeah, if it happens, we'll do a video, okay?
Another question here, how do coin shops make money when precious metals go down? And they gave an example of silver going down like a few dollars. So if you have a bunch of inventory and let's say silver does go down $3 tomorrow and you have to sell it at lower prices, will you lose some money?
Yes, but depending how much inventory we have in stock, we try not to have too much back stock. We're more of a just-in-time inventory, and therefore we can't be hurt too badly on a downturn like that. Nonetheless, if we have a lot of back stock, I can in actuality lose money. If I have, say, 10,000 ounces of silver, it goes down $1 an ounce. That's not a good day. On the other hand, when the price plunges and I can buy it at a better price, it kind of makes up for that bad day. But there aren't too many bad days, again, because I don't have a lot of back stock that I can be hurt by.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I know there are some coin shops out there that have a lot of back stock, a lot of inventory, and they could theoretically be hurt if the price goes down a lot.
I know there are some shops that will, on a real bad downturn, just not put out the inventory, which I've always found to be a dangerous ploy because it might protect you that day, but if the metal keeps going down, you're just digging a deeper hole as a dealer. I'm all about just keep on selling, keep on buying in normal fashion. Kind of like when we talk about dollar cost averaging for the stacker, it's not unlike that for a dealer. We're going to dollar cost average our gains and losses over time. So we've just got to keep the doors open, keep the inventory out, and keep it moving in and out.
Well, also, if you were a coin shop owner and you refused to put anything out, I feel like some of your customers, at least the heavy stackers, would be upset about it because they would want to buy on the dip. They go in to get Morgan dollars or junk silver or whatever they want to buy, and they find out nothing's for sale, that could upset them a little bit.
Well, even if the dealer didn't say, hey, I'm not putting it out, and just said I don't have any, even if it weren't true, you go to a shop often enough and find nothing in the showcases, you're probably going to find another place to go because it's just not fun.
Okay, we have another question. They say, is it worth stacking and starting to collect copper? Do you think it will ever get to where silver is these days?
No, I don't think copper will ever catch silver, but do I think it could be a good investment? Absolutely. The problem with copper, as it's always been, is storage. If you want to collect or stack pre-1982 copper cents, and I know people who do, it's a lot of weight. I mean, we're talking tonnage to equal what gold or silver might be in a stack, and so the mobility of it is next to impossible, and the storage space becomes a real problem. I mean, honestly, this stuff is very, very heavy. Could be profitable, but boy, not for the average person.
Yeah, and a lot of people complain about silver as well. They say silver takes up too much space. They would prefer to stack gold. But one thing I would say is copper truly is accessible and able to be stacked by anyone, even kids, because it's such a low price point to get in.
Yeah, I mean, it might be an entry-level metal for somebody, but I just don't think it's practical for building wealth because it takes too much of it to represent any kind of wealth.
Right, and then if you take something like silver, I mean, if you buy just one silver dime, you're looking at $2.80 today. So, I mean, if you can't save $2.80, I mean, what are you doing here?
Yeah, but I never criticize someone's stacking strategy. It's just that, as a practical matter, I think silver makes a whole lot more sense than copper.
All right, now we're going back to gold, and they ask, how does a person know what a pre-33 USA gold slabbed coin is worth on a daily basis?
Two ways to go on that. First, if it's just a common date and a lower uncirculated piece, like I'm talking MS 63, 62, 61, 60, something at the lower end. Again, common date. You can really just look at the gold price and get a really good idea what it's worth. So if you know the weight, say, of a $5 gold piece, which is 0.24187 troy ounce, just say a hair under a quarter of an ounce, look at the price of gold that day, and you shouldn't be paying too much more than the price of gold on that with a little premium on it. On the other hand, if you're looking at, MS 64, 65 and up, you're talking about now, even on common dates, more of condition rarity, meaning it's a common coin, but it's such a high grade, it's worth well beyond the actual gold value. Then what you want to do is look at, like Heritage has a wonderful website that anyone can sign up for free, and you can see what a coin of that grade and that date, etc., sold for in recent times and get a really good idea what the market demands for that coin. You can also look at eBay sold listings. Always look at sold listings, not what someone's asking, to get a snapshot of what something's going for today.
That's really good advice. That's what I was going to say too. eBay is kind of my go-to for really anything, whether it be gold or silver or shoes or anything at all.
Yeah, and I think eBay might actually be a better source than Heritage for the common coins, only because Heritage makes a market in wonderful high-end coins, and you might have a little bit of difficulty finding data on the more common ones. But again, go into your filter on eBay and make sure you're looking at sold listings, not what someone's asking for it.
Next one here, do you prefer to buy back government mint silver coins like Silver Eagles or Maple Leafs, or independent mint silver rounds?
That's a good question, and on an average day, it makes no difference to me because I need all of it. However, if I'm low on something, say Buffalo rounds, I would prefer that whatever's in your cardboard box when you come walking in is a Buffalo round versus, say, Silver Eagles. Not to say I won't buy it, it's just if you're truly asking what I'm thinking, if I'm low on something, I'm always hoping for that item to come in today.
So it's kind of situationally dependent.
Yeah, the things that really don't sell well, like there are a lot of silver rounds that are beautiful, and there's some designs out there that are just kind of boring. Those are probably the least favorite thing that we buy, but we buy it because there's always a place to go with it.
All right, we have a question about constitutional silver. Is it legal to melt constitutional silver?
It is, because it's no longer being used as recognized anyway by the government as currency, and so you're not wasting the government's assets by melting it. A lot of it gets melted, which is why I'm a fan of it, because not only aren't they making any more of it, but there's less and less of it every single day.
I actually noticed all of those shiny dimes that were here last week. They're gone. Did someone come in and buy the whole lot, or was it kind of just a few at a time?
Both a lot at a time and a few at a time. And I'll caution everybody, when you watch these videos, and we're always grateful that you do watch, if you don't call the day you see something, chances are really good it's gone. Don't hesitate to call, but I hate to disappoint people, but it takes a day or two to get these videos edited and up and running usually, and therefore, if you wait a week and call me, unless it's some obscure thing like an ancient Roman coin or something, chances are really good that when you call, it's not here. But nonetheless, I'm pleasantly surprised sometimes that something is still here. I'm just saying, we disappoint more than we deliver on some of that stuff.
Oh, goodness. This wasn't in the question, but I'm kind of curious. How do you feel about coin shops or refineries deciding to melt junk silver or constitutional silver?
I mean, I'm a coin guy, so there's a part of me that is nostalgic for the things that aren't being made anymore, the things of the past. But I'm also practical, and for most people, this stuff is just silver in one form or another. And so, to make a market in this, you really can't pick and choose who buys it or what happens to it when it leaves the shop. But if I had my druthers, this stuff would be sold and bought and kept intact as what it is, say a Mercury dime or Walking Liberty half. But it gets melted. Not every refiner actually melts this, by the way. Just because a shop sells to a refiner does not mean it's being melted, because you got to remember, a lot of these refiners are also resellers, and so they'll bag them up and sell them the way we do. It's not always going into the pot, but often it does.
Yeah, it makes me a little bit sad when it gets melted.
It does. But it makes whatever you own already a little bit more rare, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Truly.
All right, Harry, one last question, and this one might be the most important. What would be the better investment over the next 15 years, gold or silver?
Interesting question. I think both metals over the long term, and I would call 15 years a relatively long term, both metals, if history tells us anything, will go up. So they're both good investments for a 15-year outlook. The question always comes back to what's best for you. Do you plan on just stacking it in all the space you have to spare? Maybe silver's a better buy. If you want to be more mobile with your wealth, maybe gold's a better buy. Maybe a mix of the two. But they both, over time, over the long term, will tend to go up. And usually they'll follow each other up. So over 15 years, they're both good investments. Look at the space you have, the security you have of storing your precious metals, and if you think there might come a time when you need to pick up and run, and which one would be easier to haul away.
Yeah, and one thing I would add to that is if you're close to retirement or close to needing to cash it out, right? And 15 years, as you mentioned, is a good amount of time, but let's say you're in your late 50s or 60s or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe gold is a little bit better because it's not as volatile. So when you do need to sell, it's more likely going to be sort of flat or up, not on a downswing.
That's an interesting point too, because if you look at, say, the stocks and bonds market out there, financial advisors will tend to put older people like myself into safer investments like bonds versus stocks, which are more volatile. So with that kind of thinking, perhaps gold would be a better buy because it's a little steadier in terms of the pricing than silver is. But there's a lot of elderly people that buy stocks because they still like the roller coaster ride. So there's not one answer for every age group. But as you get older, it might make more sense to be a little more conservative, and gold probably is more conservative over time than silver.
Yeah, but I just like silver, Harry.
There you go.
It's a lot of fun.
You're not called gold dragons.
That's a good point. Well, we had a lot of great questions, and I would ask people if they have more questions that they want answered in a future video to leave them down below in the comment section, and maybe we'll get to your question the next time we do one of these.
Very good. And if I can just address a question that you said came up in the comment section as, will Harry be attending the fun show in the winter? The answer right now is probably, but was it January, I believe? Mm-hmm. As January approaches, I'll let you know for sure. So if you want to come say hi at our booth, I'll let you know if I'll be there. I can tell you most of the guys will be there, and probably I will too.
Worst case, we'll get a cutout of you, Harry, and we'll put it there.
I think someone suggested that, right?
We want the real thing, though.
Okay. If you do a cutout, make it a little taller.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Hey, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Silver Dragons.